So, cooking, wine, the finer things. I come from a place where a lot of folks would go to vacation. It's a nice place, the weather's good, a lot of wine and that kind of thing there. Fine dining, the works. And growing up, I didn't really feel like I fit in there. I remember going to school with a bunch of kids who were like artists and that kind of thing. They were always talking about what university they wanted to go to, how they wanted to live in Europe, like this kind of boho stuff, which is totally cool. But at the time, I just didn't connect with that. My feeling was kind of like, I'm going to have to work for my whole life, and that's just kind of how that is. And also, as a younger kid, I wasn't drawn to that kind of stuff. I found myself much more drawn to like just tougher stuff in life, whatever it was. Sports, punk rock, manual labor, that kind of thing. Like beer drinking stuff. And so as a result of that, I lived that life until like my late 20s. So like your classic like young man years or whatever. And so in that time, I got used to living with very little, like living out of a backpack or taking cold showers or working out all the time and like never recovering. If I was drinking, it would be like the cheapest beer, cheapest vodka, whatever. Food, it was just purely like, what are my macros? Like the chicken, rice, broccoli diet, that kind of stuff. But recently, maybe a little bit after I started this channel, I started to think about like where I am in life. I have a video that says something about like punk to white collar or something like that. Where basically in it, I talk about how I was around a bunch of punks and I felt like I was with my people, but then I realized like I'm not one of them. I don't live that life anymore. And around that time, I was hanging with some friends who had a similar upbringing and really went hard in that direction. Much earlier than I did too. So we ended up going to spas and fine dining and wine and all that stuff. And I suddenly started to realize that there really was something to it. And that I was in a place in life where I could really appreciate this stuff. So I think when you're a young man, I'm still young, but maybe like 14 to mid 20s, it's good to go out and have those rough experiences. Getting drunk, sleeping under a tarp in the woods or whatever. The classic, like having one pair of jeans, 2 t-shirts, a 6-pack in the open right ahead of you. But when you get a little bit older, I think it's kind of natural to transition from that into where I am now. Where it's like super cool to get to learn all about different flavor profiles of wine and like all that kind of stuff. Or to get to go to a spa and like not be in pain for a little bit, because that's just what happens when you live kind of hard when you're younger. And also after years of really thinking of food only in terms of macros and calories, eating something like this homemade beef bourguignon is just amazing. And so I think it's good to let that pendulum swing back once you feel like you've occupied the other side for long enough. Once Pabst starts tasting really, really nasty, once you get tired of sleeping on the ground, and once your knees and back and hips and ankles hurt all the time, maybe it's time to try some wine or get a comfy bed for once or go get a massage or something. Don't be into the finer things just to be into the finer things. Be into them because you appreciate them, because they're kind of cool.